Everybody, and welcome back to the road to Avengers Doomsday, and today's film is Elektra. Oh boy. Okay, fun fact. This was my first time in the 20 years that this movie has been out on DVD, TV, everything imaginable. This is the first time I have watched it from beginning to end. I have never seen this movie at all. With the Blade movies, I'd seen enough clips and pieces of it, so I didn't feel completely foreign, but this was a complete new experience for me. Never saw Elektra. Avoided it like the plague when it came out, just because the trailers didn't look all that interesting, and there was just a lot of questions like, how did Elektra survive the end of Daredevil? Why wasn't Ben Affleck in the movie? How come the directors and the writers aren't the same people from the first movie? Why is Elektra running around with the teenage girl? Like, it just didn't seem like a need to watch thing, and some of the CGI effects were a little for 2005, but yeah, what can I guess we'll get the good out of the way, and then we'll go into the bad, because there is a lot of bad. So the good is, thankfully, because of those new writers, who thankfully have not seen, I guess, Daredevil, and mainly because Ben Affleck is not in this movie, and so there's no like romantic thing, other than a thing we'll talk about when I get to the bad. Jennifer Garner's version of Elektra was kind of iffy, wishy-washy in the not first movie, but in Daredevil, because they basically played her as I don't want to say a prickly, don't touch me kind of a, I want to do my own thing kind of a girl, until Matt Murdock kind of, talks to her and kind of gets her to lighten up a little bit and, realize that she doesn't have to be closed, off from the world because of her tragic backstory involving her mother's death, so like she's definitely not the same character from Daredevil, like not even remotely close. They've basically made her a little bit more stoic. She's not spouting the terrible cheesy lovey-dovey lines, and she's not the I want revenge kind of person. She definitely, and this is again it was why I didn't want to rag on Jennifer Garner in the Daredevil review, because I don't think it was Jennifer Garner. I think it was just the dialogue. The script just didn't do anything for her, because here they understand the character a little bit better, that she's a bit more like, I don't want to say morbid, but she's a bit more closed off. She's alone. She kills people for a living, so she can't really have relationships or friends and stuff. But that's the only thing good about this movie, Jennifer Garner, and the fact that they put her in the actual outfit. They put her in the red satin outfit. The only thing I wish they'd given her was the head cowl covering thing that she has in a lot of the comics. But for the most part, that outfit they got her wearing, I mean, it's totally unpractical for a ninja to be wearing that and whatnot. But Jennifer Garner looks good in it. She pulls it off really well for a costume that's clearly not meant to be physically worn by ninjas. But she does a really good job, and she definitely put a lot of effort into the role. You could tell that she did the training, that she did like the work and stuff. And there's a lot of sequences you could tell she was proud of it, that she could do the sigh flipping and stuff, because there's not like, it's not CGI. It's not like a cutaway thing. It's literally a bunch of shots where she picks them up or she throws them down and she whips them out and stuff. And so she's the best part of it. Like, she is great. So if you want to see a movie where Jennifer Garner is a badass, I suggest watching the first couple seasons of Alias. Not this, even though she's really good. And I thought she nailed it pretty good, because there's a big problem with it. Despite the positives I can say about her character, is that the filmmakers, particularly I guess the writers, either didn't care about the ending of Daredevil, or just wanted to tell their own story, and they just had to address the Daredevil in the room. So if you don't remember, and I can't blame you if you have forgotten, but Elektra was killed at the end of Daredevil 1, but there was a Daredevil 2. Why am I saying it like that? Right. Elektra was killed at the end of Daredevil, and it was hinted that she survived because she left the Braille necklace thing on Matt's special place thing. So it was kind of alluded that she kind of survived, and then they made this movie, and so a lot of people expected there to be some sort of a connection to this movie from that, but they don't do that. In fact, the movie starts off and Elektra's just off doing her Elektra thing, killing people, and so you have to wait like a good 15 minutes before the film slowly starts putting in these flashbacks that Elektra died. Somehow Stick, played by Terrence Stamp here, who's pretty decent in the few scenes that he has, it's not bad, he's good with the voice, so it works. Stick found her, brought her to the monastery in the mountains of I don't know where, and brought her back from the dead, which again, I'm not 100% sure on how that works in the comics. I know she does come back from the dead, but I thought there was like rituals with the hand and stuff. I didn't know it was like a stick thing, because they come up with this thing that I'm pretty sure isn't from the comics, and it's BS, where it's something called Kimagashi or something, and it's where she can like close her eyes and focus, and she can see the future. Guess she couldn't do that during the events of Daredevil, otherwise she would have seen that, Matt was Daredevil, or that Bullseye was about to, throw the playing card and stick her with the side, but whatever. But again, like I said, she's definitely more trained here. But the thing that's kind of confusing is she comes back to life, and then Stick trains her, but it's not very clear if she was being trained before this. I don't think she was. I think she gets trained by him then, so it's not really clear how much time has passed, because she stays with Stick and then she goes away. So is this before that or after that? They don't make it abundantly clear on that, and there's nothing clear about where this sets after Daredevil, because there's no mention of New York. We're in Seattle, I think, when we start the movie. There's no mention of her getting back there. She mentions that she's got nowhere to go. There's no attempt to go back and find Matt. There's no attempt to try to go back to New York. There's nothing involving her father's death. It's all about her mother's death, because I guess we've avenged, or she knows that Bullseye is dead, but not dead because he's still in the hospital, technically, from the post-credit scene of that movie. So, again, there's zero connected tissue to that, other than that she died. They show her for 2 seconds in the outfit from Daredevil. She wakes up for a second, and that's it. There's nothing else. And that's what creates this really confusing aspect of, well, now she's this assassin. She's got nothing to live for, but it's girl, you have Matt. He's waiting for you back in New York. Don't you think you should tell him you're alive? They never bring it up. They never mention it. I heard that he filmed a cameo scene in a deleted scene. I don't know if it was included on the DVD. I've never seen it for myself, so I wouldn't know that. But I've heard it was. I don't know if it was filmed or it was supposed to be. They said it was a deleted scene. I don't know if they released it, but that was it. But he appeared in a dream, so I guess that didn't connect either. And I guess they removed it when they realized none of the other movie beats meshed up with that. So there's just this huge disconnect where now she's a paid assassin. So again, if you look at the movie as a separate thing that had nothing to do with Daredevil and that she just died off screen before this movie started, then okay, it's not the worst thing in the world from that perspective. But we're all coming from Daredevil, and we're all coming with the knowledge of she died. They keep talking about how she died, but there's no talk about how she died or going back to the life she had. And now we're focused on her mother, which was briefly kind of hinted at in the first movie, in the Daredevil film, but that's the focus. And then so she's going around, and then we basically spend the first almost 40 minutes of the movie. She's off at this place, and she's waiting. She's got this agent handler guy who's not from the comics, who basically is her buddy, giving her information. So she kind of works for this, I guess, assassin mercenary for hire business. And so this guy McCabe gives her the names of people to kill. So he sets her up in this summer cottage house thing on the lake and tells her to wait for an information. And it takes 2 days for her to get the name, because of course, when you know it, the two people that she interrupts while she's here, a girl who breaks into her house to steal her mother's bracelet for seemingly no reason, and her father, who live in the house next door, are of course the targets. So it's not surprising. Again, this whole movie's plot, every time there's supposed to be a moment, you can see it coming from 60 miles away. The fact that they're the one she has to kill, shock. The fact that she won't kill them, shock. She has a conscience. The fact that they send other assassins to kill him and she's got to go try to save them, okay, shock. It's not surprising. It's not shocking in the slightest. It's just stupid. It's so blah. And so there's the father and the daughter's kind of all over the place. She's kind of written to be a badass teen who's got bullying issues, and so you think that's why she likes Elektra, but she kind of likes Elektra too much, too fast. And then, of course, wouldn't you know it, she turns out to be this hidden prodigy child, demon warrior thing that the Hand wants. The Hand are actually in this movie. They're run by a group of people that meet in a very disgusting boardroom with this orange tint in a building that looks like it was superimposed into a city, an urban skylight thing. It's this ancient sort of Japan feudal building that's in a city that we don't see the name of, because it's just this aerial shot of the building. And we only see this one business room where Master Roshi and his board member, Master Roshi, that's from something, isn't it? I could not place it, but I know that sounds familiar. Master Roshi is something, isn't it? I want to say Dragon Ball or Karate Kid. I don't know. It's something, but it sounds familiar. And his son Kirigi over here, and his team of weird mutant creatures that are just people from Marvel Comics that they vaguely have powers. For example, Typhoid Mary's here, who we'll eventually see years later in the Iron Fist series. But of course, this feels like the writers just heard the name and thought, oh, Typhoid Mary, that means she's got to be disease stuff. And that's not what the character is at all in the comics. I mean, it's not the first time they've done that kind of thing, but come on, a simple 2-second look would help you. I mean, then there's another guy that has tattoos and stuff, and it's all these supernatural abilities, and it's I guess it makes sense to do that. It's a little weird considering we're in a world where I guess a blind man can see in sort of radar vision, and it's a superhero movie, so let it go. But so it turns out his daughter, the girl that she's trying to save, is this magical whiz kid who knows all of the karate that the Stick people and the group that trained Elektra know. And boom, that's what the whole plot of the movie is, and that's supposed to be shot. And then there's the thing with the father, who's like given no characterization, the worst lines, and he's given this weird lovey relationship with Elektra. They kiss at the beginning of the movie, and then at the end, and there's like zero chemistry between them, zero build up, and it's like, girl, don't you have Matt Murdock waiting for you again in New York? Like, this is why you shouldn't have even done a kissing. Like, those should have been cut immediately. In fact, honestly, a better goal with the movie would have been kill the father off at the beginning and leave the daughter by herself, because the father becomes an afterthought anyway. The script basically jettisons him in the third act anyway, because the script didn't know what the hell to do with him. And the rest of the movie is, and again, it's a short movie. It's an hour and a half. It's like the shortest Marvel movie we've done so far. But that's the plot. She needs to save the two of them, and learns about halfway through the movie that the daughter is actually trained because she has the magical yo-yo rope wristband bracelet thing that she can whack people with. I don't know. And she's not from the comics, so I'm not ragging on her for no reason. It's just stupid. And so, like I said, the evil Kuryagi guy's got his mutant misfits. One guy is like impenetrable for the skin. I forgot his name. One guy's name was Tattoo, which I know is a character. There was links to them in the Wikipedia cast summary, so I know that they're definitely characters in the comics. But there's one guy who's got like impenetrable skin, and so like the agent handler guy shoots him and nothing happens. He blows the shotgun shells, like the beads, off of his chest, and then Elektra tries to stab him with the sai, and it breaks in half. But lo and behold, the sai can't kill him, the shotgun can't kill him, but the giant tree kills him. Don't ask me. Oh, also, for some reason, all of the hand agents explode when they die. Is that something from the comics? I don't think so. I didn't look to check, but they all explode in like this green oozy gas. And I'm like, yeah. So I was like, all right. And so basically the whole movie is that. It's Elektra taking the kid and running away from Kuryagi and his goons, then getting saved halfway through the movie by Stick, who trains the girl up. But Elektra decides she's going to face Kuryagi in like a final duel. And of course, because we need drama, the girl Abby, sorry I didn't mention her name earlier, runs to go help or invade Elektra's space so that she can become a plot device for the last 20 minutes of the movie. Also, the fight between Kuryagi and Elektra, it's so sad. So we spend most of the movie, like I said, Elektra starts the movie off, she's in the red outfit, banging, looking great, and then, killing it with the sais, and then we don't see her in the red outfit for the whole movie, but they throw like little shades of red, like she's wearing like a red scarf or something, so that was kind of a cool way to keep it going if she's not going to always wear it. I'm okay with that. And so for the end, she comes into the house and she's wearing this big trench coat, and you can tell she's wearing the red outfit. And so there's this really cool scene when she's in the living room and she takes off the jacket and she whips out the sais, and it's really cool. And then you see Kuryagi wearing this like white ninja robe on the top of the stairs. And then the dumbest thing I think I've seen and I know this is jumping the gun, but I'm just going to say right now, in all of the movies and television shows that we will look at on this series, I don't think we will see something nearly as terrible as what happens in this scene. So she starts fighting him, and Kuryagi over here, he puts because they're in the empty house that Elektra used to live in. Not, I guess, the house from Daredevil. This is a special house somewhere else. I don't know if it's in Greece, but it looks like it's in Greece, although the sky is CGI'd, so we could be in, I don't know, the 8th level of the dimension of hell. I don't know why the sky is CGI'd. They did that in the dream sequences, which makes sense. It's to give, I guess, the viewer the illusion that we're in a dream, but this is real. We're in the house, so why does the sky look like this? You tell me you couldn't just find a crappy gray sky day and film it, and the house is real or whatever, or fake? Come on, guys, it's not that hard. But I'm getting away with the point. So she comes in and he jumps off the ledge, and so because they're in the house and there's all these coverings and stuff, he whips the wind and the blankets start flying around the room. And because there's no way to legitimately keep these blankets up in the air in a normal fashion that will look decent, they basically make about 20 CGI blankets floating around behind them, and it completely distracts you from the fight that they're having. Yeah, they do a couple of close shots and stuff, and it's not terrible, and there's a couple of times where the sheets are real and like blocking them and stuff, but it's just a weirdly choreographed thing. And the CGI sheets, why? Like, it looks terrible. Like, I know the budget was probably blown on the tattoo guy who has like the animals come out of his skin, which looks somewhat decent for the time period, but like, Jesus Christ, what is this? There's like 20 of them and they're flying around. It's like Casper. It's like moving around, or like Charlie Brown. I don't know, Casper's a positive thing. I should say Charlie Brown in his Halloween costume without the eye holes, just woo, going around, and they just keep going, and it's so boring. And the fight's so boring because like you're too busy laughing your ass off at the sheets. And then they fight again out in the courtyard, and that one's a little better, I guess, because it's just the two of them and there's no sheets flying around. But it's like, whatever. And then it's like, because Elektra has the ability to foresee where everybody is, it immediately loses any of the tension. So she sees that Abby's disappearing and that she's been being attacked. So she looks into the future, sees Snake Man, runs up to him and snaps his neck. And then she sees that Typhoid Mary is 6 miles into the hedge mage, and she throws her in the thing. And then they throw this completely batshit thing for her character. So none of the goons in the Kyriakshi squad basically talk. The stone guy who doesn't get hit, he doesn't say anything. The snake guy with the tattoos, he doesn't say anything. None of them say anything, basically. They're just there to be, they say like maybe 1 or 2 lines of exposition. And the Typhoid Mary chick has this one line near the end of the movie where she reveals to Abby that she was the prodigy whiz kid at one point. Don't know why she still isn't, because technically speaking, Abby can only do the weird, bracelet thing, and yet this chick can blow like cholera at you, and yet surprisingly she's been demoted, which I don't understand. Also, that's another thing, they don't make it clear what exactly she does. Like, she can blow disease and it like makes your face get all like crusty and stuff, but it doesn't kill you. It just makes you like incapacitated and sick. But yet she walks past like nature things like tree leaves and stuff and they die. So like, can she kill you, or is it like is it just like a range thing? Like, I don't know. But she says she's the treasure, and it's like, no movie, you can't give me motivation for this. And then she wants to kill her, which is not the plan. The plan is to take her. That's another thing. The snake guy wraps her up in snakes, doesn't drag her away to bring her back to the base. I'm gonna kill her. I thought the point was we wanted to keep Abby because she's supposed to be the next, crazy ninja kid for the hand, and yet the snake guy's trying to kill her, and Typhoid Mary's trying to, kill her to death with the plague. I don't know. But Elektra does a really cool thing there where she like throws the sai. She realizes, the sai can go through all the hedge mages, and it smacks her right in the face and kills her. And that's it. That's the movie. That's the whole movie. And it was so bad. There's bad lines, bad setups. Like, there's just too much going on. I get what they were trying to do. I really do. You've got a father and a daughter, obviously mirroring the father and daughter relationship that Elektra has with her father. That's only briefly hinted that her father was kind of a dick, I guess, because he put her in a pool and told her to keep swimming with her legs and not her hands. Oh, by the way, that's not the guy who played him in Daredevil, but by this point you should probably know that. It's not the dude from The Mummy, it's a different actor, who seemed like an overall nice dude from Daredevil, but now I guess he's being portrayed as dickish. But again, we don't spend enough time on her backstory to really understand where that came from, so it's hard to make that connection between Abby and her father. Then there's supposed to be like the parallel of a girl who's got all these abilities, or rather this innate, I guess, fortitude to be a badass assassin, just like Elektra is. But because we kind of skipped around and we don't know whether, and it's not very made it clear whether Elektra died. I'm guessing that she trained with Stick prior because she knew how to kick ass prior to like Daredevil. In Daredevil, she knew that, and Stick found her. I don't think Stick was just finding dead people and bringing them back to life. So the training thing must be the past. And then she went out into the world, and then he found her and brought her back, and then she does the contract work. So because of that confusing aspect, it's hard for us to really say, well, Elektra had a normal life, but now she's all morose and stuff because the film's writing her different, and because she pretending that Daredevil didn't happen. So that doesn't work out. And then the Abby kid goes from one extreme to the next. 1 minute, I want to defend myself. I want to learn how to defend myself. But apparently the chick already knew. It wasn't like she didn't know how to tap into this. It's not like the Bourne Identity where she gets hit in the head and she suddenly realizes, oh, I'm an assassin. She knew from the beginning that she was this treasure thing, that what they were looking for. And yet there's a whole scene where she begs Elektra to teach her how to focus and how to use a weapon and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And she comes off as kind of, I don't want to say annoying, but just a pendulum swing of what the hell is this kid character written to be. 1 minute she's a bratty teen, the next minute she's interested in defending herself because she wants to save her father, the next minute she seems like she's wise behind her years, and then the next thing she seems like she's Jason Bourne, in a toga robe. And it's just I get it, but it was poorly executed. There's a good through line here, but this needed revisions, heavy revisions. You needed to go back. This is a draft at best, of sequences that you could put together, and you'd have to go back and maybe fine tune this, maybe extend it a bit, add sequences to the beginning, further explain. And again, a big thing here would be explain or don't explain the connection to Daredevil. Either tell us that she died and she was brought back with memory issues, and that ends the story of why she doesn't remember anything from Daredevil, and that she got into contract work. But no, in fact, we start off with the wrong intro, we start off with the narration from Terrence Stamp, and rather than like recapping what happened on Daredevil or how we brought back, the intro is used to give us the MacGuffin of how people are brought back from the dead, and the whole thing about the little girl who's going to be the focus of this movie, which is not what the film should have opened with. It should have opened with, hey, my name is Stick. I used to train Elektra, and she died in the battle with Bullseye and Daredevil. When I brought her back from the dead, her memory and soul was erased, and now she's a former shell of herself. She's trying to find her memory, blah, 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 but she only knows about her tragic past. And then maybe through this girl, she realizes issues with her past and comes to terms with it, blah, blah, blah. Just like, oh yeah, that was another thing. I almost forgot about that. Like I said, every point of this movie is predictable. So they keep showing like bits, like I said, in the dream sequences of Elektra's mother dying. Like, we don't know exactly what happened, like her connection to the hand prior to this when she was a little girl, which again leads me to believe that Stick knew Elektra younger or when she was older, before Daredevil took place, because the mother's killed by what looks like a demon monster. Satan. No, it's Mephisto. He was in this movie the whole time. And then she sees it again, and it's a ninja. And once I saw the devil thing, I was like, oh, we know it's not a devil. That didn't kill her. We know it's probably the hand. And she didn't realize that. And once it turned into the ninja picture, I was like, let me guess. It's Kiriagi over there. And I don't know if I've been saying his name right, but I bet it's him. And sure enough, she has another flashback near the end where she's like, oh, man, I was waiting for her to say it. But thankfully, I can't tell if Garner didn't want to say some of the lines, or the cheesy one-liners, or like the lame exposition dialogue, because she doesn't really say a lot of it. So I wonder if she kind of said, no, I'm not saying that, because it was cheesy and stupid. But she realizes that, yep, he killed her mother for whatever reason that was, which we never really get to explain. And not like it matters, because he dies anyway. And that's it. And then the movie kind of ends with like Elektra going off to like be an assassin again. Is she going to find Matt? I don't know. The movie doesn't seem to care, and neither do I. Like, oof, this was a rough one. I mean, I went into this expecting nothing, like zero. Like, I assumed I would be getting like a better version of Elektra, like a sort of more comic book accurate version of her. And again, I'm not, as you can see with this one, I'm not really making comparisons to the Netflix stuff with characters, because we've seen Elektra and Stick in that. Terrence Stamp as Stick, he's okay, I guess. I mean, he doesn't really have a whole lot to chew on. He does one funny thing with a pool table early on, but this isn't really the movie for jokes or like comic relief kind of a thing. He doesn't really do anything badass. But if you're expecting like the Stick from, again, the Daredevil show, who's a bit more, of an asshole and kind of manipulates and is just trying to get his message across and doesn't care about anybody, he's not really that Stick. And again, I don't know which one is closer to the comic version. I've never read one with him in it, so I don't really know, but he's okay. It's nothing really to worry about. And the hand is okay. I mean, they establish who they are. That's kind of cool, I guess, that they were in there, but I thought the hand wore red outfits, and yet none of them are wearing that. They're wearing black ninja outfits, which I guess makes sense. I mean, I guess the whole argument has been that Elektra's wearing this bright pink red outfit sometimes, and it's just, well, not pink, it's red, going around as a ninja, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So the ninjas, why would they wear red? They should wear black. But yeah, it just oof. Can I rate a movie oof? Because that's what I'd rate it. Skip or watch. This is a total skip. You don't have to watch this. You watch this for maybe like 10 minutes to see. You watch the beginning and watch the end. That's what you should watch, just to see Elektra, just to see Jennifer Garner kicking ass in the costume. Because it's at this point the closest we got to something that was, costume accurate, I guess, or similarly accurate to the costume from the comics. But that's it. You shouldn't watch this movie. You really shouldn't. This is probably the worst out of everything we've looked at so far. Like, this is the lowest thing I can imagine. Like, the Hulk, okay, there was plot issues, there was focus issues, there was too much drama, not enough Hulk action. Okay, but there was positives in there, there was some good moments, there's some good sequences. It's not a don't watch kind of a thing. Even Daredevil, yeah, it's cheesy. Ben Affleck's not the greatest in the world. The dialogue and the love stuff is corny as hell. But you got, decent performances by Michael Clark Duncan. You got John Favreau as being a good comedy sidekick. Colin Farrell's not terrible as Bullseye. Yeah, the CGI's a little wonky in spots, but it's decently entertaining, and it's not insulting my intelligence, So, like, the bar is low with those movies, but I wouldn't say it's this bad. Like, I knew we were in trouble when I saw how long the movie was. When a Marvel movie, or an adult film, I should say, a film that's aimed at, like, teens and adults, is an hour and a half on the dot, or an hour and 37 minutes in this case, you immediately have to minus some time off, because some of that's credits, obviously. So you got to do at least maybe 5-6 minutes of credits. So we're talking an hour and a half. When an adult movie that's aimed at the adult audience of the 13 and over crowd is clocking in at times less than movies Pixar's making and Disney's making, DreamWorks and those people in animation, you got a problem. That means either too much was cut out or you guys are just rushing to that finish line and you guys just are sticking with what you got. And it feels like that because about an hour into the movie, the plot gets rolling. Like, she doesn't like start helping the family out until at least almost an hour in. And at that point, I knew we were screwed. I was like, this is bad. We've got 40 minutes left of this movie, not even. And we just got on the road with the daughter and the father. I was like, this means there's going to be one crappy action scene in the middle. Then there's probably going to be some slow sequences before a terrible finale. And sure enough, that's what I got. So yeah, skip this. This is the worst of the worst right now. Again, props to Jennifer Garner. I think she did great. I really think she did awesome. And there's only so much you can do with material like this. And it's a shame because it feels like she really likes the character and really wants to like do respect for the character and not just, collect a paycheck kind of a thing and call it a day. She really wants to do something cool with it, but it's just these writers just don't get it, or this was an attempt to do something drastically different. And it really just probably would have helped if there had been some sort of connection between the Daredevil crew and this movie, where it feels like, and again, this was only like a year out from Daredevil, so this was made relatively quick, so they easily could have had conversations, but I guess Daredevil crapped the bed so bad that any conversations of a sequel to that were shut off. So because they felt like, I guess, that was a done deal, there was no need to tie Elektra heavily to that, and so just to allude that she died, and that was the end of it. I don't think that was the best move. I think they should have done more to tie it into that, maybe start with where we ended with her, but nope, it's just like, and question, where did Stick get her from? Like, we see her in an ambulance, and then we see her in the weird monastery thing. Like, did they bury Elektra? Like, first off, who buried her? Because her father was already dead. Did Matt bury her? Like, or did she just die on the rooftop? Or did she disappear? Like I'm all confused with that. Like, again, a clarification would have helped. But I guess even with the clarification of where Daredevil sat timeline-wise, or where we were, flash forwards, not flash forwards, present day Stick stuff with Elektra, it's still a terrible freaking movie because the general A plot of it just ain't working. Isn't there. Like, I totally understand what this movie was supposed to be. You've got a girl who's grown up with a rough father figure and a mother who died. She's had a rough childhood. She's been trained to be this particular thing. She's gone to this like Stick thing where she's been trained to be an assassin. She tried to live a normal life, and now she's been brought back from the dead and she's living on her own. But because there's no connection to the Daredevil stuff and to explain why she's now doing just this, it's hard to really feel for that. And because we didn't spend enough time on flashbacks with her parents and we haven't delved into that enough, it's hard to make the full comparison to the Abby chick. And it's hard to really feel for Abby when one minute she's just this little girl out in the world just trying to be with her father, and then the next minute you can't have it both ways. She can't be a little girl, innocent, sweet, and then the next minute she's the prodigy of the the karate school. Like, it doesn't make sense to do both. It's one or the other. Either start with her and say that she's the one, to save the Matrix from the robots and stuff, or not. And it's like the movie wanted to have its cake and eat it, or rather it wanted to be, hey, I got a good twist. What if the treasure was the girl? Oh, that's good. Like, no, that's stupid. First of all, why call her the treasure? At least in friggin' Daredevil, they called the evil psychotic kid the Black Sky. At least that made some sense. It didn't make you think of something specific. It could have been anything. The Black Sky was a weapon. That's what they said it was. And it literally could have been codename for anything. You hear the treasure, you think, ooh, gold, silver, doubloons. Like, I don't know. And you're not thinking little girl. But no, that's what you can just tell. Like, somebody thought that was a clever idea. Like, hey, we'll call it the treasure. Because the audience, they're not hip with it. They won't know that the treasure is the girl. And somebody thought that was a good idea. Like, I don't know why. Three writers. And not one of them had the balls to say, yeah, no, let's not do that. But then again, one of those writers was the one who thought, hey, it would be a good finale? Casper bed sheets flying around like it's a haunted house. Oy. Yeah, so, skip. Avoid like the plague if I were you. Again, check it out for the first scene with Jennifer Garner and maybe the ending bit where she doesn't fight in the bedroom with the sheets. And that's fine, I think. Thankfully, Jennifer Garner got some justice with an appearance later on in the MCU to sort of redeem her performance a little bit better. Not particularly her performance, but the movie's quality, I guess you could say. Although I guess after watching it, I think I understand why the TVA pruned this particular version of the Marvel Universe. All right, well, thanks for listening, guys, and I will see you on the next one.